Hey there, guys. I don't know if many of you are aware, there's a rumor going around that possibly the IPF will ban the bench press arch. Um, I'm all in favor for it. I mean, I arch obviously when I bench press and compete, but there's a difference between how I arch versus what's going on in the sport at the moment. I mean, bench press was designed to be a test of upper body strength. And in recent years, especially the last 5 years, some lifters have turned, this strength discipline into a circus joke. And that's a pretty blunt way of putting it. I mean, some of the arches that we're seeing these days are just ridiculous. The range of motion is barely existent. And it really doesn't become a strength discipline anymore when people take arching to the extreme. Flat back benching. I think there's going to be a lot of people. Well, there's going to be a lot that are going to be quite angry that the arch is gone, but they're going to be the ones that have spent a lot of time distorting the lift. And at the end of the day, powerlifting is a strength sport. It's not a flexibility circus trick sport. So I'm happy if the rule goes through. I'm happy to see the arch completely scrapped. What this is going to mean then for a lot of regular athletes that have a slight to moderate arch, going back to complete flat back benching, just remember to retract the scapula. And you're not trying to get a huge arch, but just retract the scapula enough so you're in position. You can still do that with a flat back, but you're going to have to spend a lot more time on shoulder mobility, exercises for shoulder health, because when you arch, the range of motion is less, and when your chest is a lot higher than your shoulders, your humerus doesn't have to go past the bench anywhere near as far, which also means there's less stress on the shoulder joint. When you come back to a flat bench, you're going to find the range of motion is further, and your arms are going to go a lot further down behind the bench and behind the midline of your body. So that's a lot more stressful on the shoulder. And then people are going to have to bring their general volume back as well, because the shoulders aren't going to deal with it until you've conditioned them. And like anything, if you're going to change your technique heavily, you do so, but you drop the intensity back, you drop the volume back, and you give yourself the time to progress and get from point A to point B and where your old numbers were in the safest manner. If you try and rush it, it's never really going to end particularly well. Look, as I said, I'm happy if that rule goes through, and then hopefully, that opens up the field to possibly changing sumo deadlift as well. Bring it back to conventional, because we're having the same thing with sumo. Like, some people are just taking ridiculously wide stances and the rest of it, and it's no longer becoming a true strength lift. It's back to a circus joke again. Strongman doesn't allow sumo deadlift either, so it brings it in line. Strongman, as the name implies, strong man, not circus joke. Look, I'd like to see this rule go through. I hope it gets enforced, and then I'd like to see it branch out to removing sumo as well. You look at how, say, Ed Cohen deadlifted. Yeah, he pulled sumo, but his sumo stance was not like today's sumo stance. It was a very narrow sumo stance. And he could also pull conventional as well. So, I'd like to see this all come together. I think it's really good for the sport as well, and add some credibility back to bench press. You look at Olympic weightlifting, they have the snatch, the clean and jerk, and they used to have the overhead shoulder press. And they scrapped that because, lifters were leaning, really far back, getting a lot of back injuries. And it no longer became, a true strict lift of like overhead strength. It became, a circus joke. So they scrapped that lift entirely. It'd be nice to see, the credibility come back to bench pressing, and, having it mean something like, okay, that is a test of upper body strength. I know some people that, they take a ridiculously wide grip. They're not very tall. They're very skinny, very flexible. They put up huge numbers in relation to their body weight, but they're not strong people. They're just really mobile and really flexible, and the range of motion is barely existent. So look, I lose out as well, but I'm happy with that. I'd like to see the sport cleaned up in that manner. At the same time, I'm not going to lose a ridiculous amount because I've trained flat back, feet up bench press before, and done really well at it. And it just takes a few weeks to adjust. If you're like a normal person that hasn't got an extreme arch. And as I said, just make sure you stay on top of your shoulder health, your shoulder mobility, because that will then become a really key component for surviving, competition style bench press for the long haul. If you guys have any questions about it, comment below. I'd like to hear a few other opinions as well. But yeah, that's just my take on it. And yeah, hit like and subscribe and have a great day wherever you are.